Nothing was said during the non-recorded portion. So should we move on to sheet 12 and start with the appropriations?
Yeah, sorry, we're having a little bit of a problem here, but I think it's fixed. Paul's on, by the way.
Very good. So I guess we should note that Mr. Lindsay joined us at 6:31. Thank you, Paul. We just started, but our starting point, based on all of proposed increased expenses, the budget is about $300,000 more than last year as a starting point, and we will be going through and discussing it.
So the salaries are based on a 3% increase. Is that per year? Can't remember. I'm sorry.
3% per year, right?
Right.
Well, every year we
discuss, we're typically in the 2.5.
Oh, okay, that was talking about for the other.
We haven't confirmed from,
Oh.
but we used, that's what we were.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't thinking about there,
Yeah.
okay,
So it's essentially 3% for everyone, including the
okay,
labor contract, but that has not been settled.
okay.
I mean, I don't know if you guys just want to look at it and ask questions as we go page by page, or how you want to.
I think, yeah, we can, I can, right, so these are the general administration salaries and wages. What is built into the general administration? Is that a portion of the administrator?
So that is, yes, that is the
Yeah.
administrator.
Okay.
And then the following page is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have the mayor and committee, which remain flat. Municipal clerk, which follows the 3%, and then all the expenses associated with that office. Based on previous year's expenditures. I think everything is. The first thing, we get to is we see the CFO salaries and your support for your office, the audit expenses, and we know what those are since they're contractual with the technology. So that's what is built into the $20,000.
I was not entirely, I know the conversion, the transition, fees, and I wasn't entirely sure. Our monthly costs were $1,045. So that's what we were looking. Correct. So then, $12,000 there just for IT. Conversion, and then, we had to pay extra for the IT company leaving for terminating.
It was a costly transition, probably an extra 3,000.
To pay the other company.
Yeah.
Well, because they were 15 and then they were.
1,500.
And then it was a few months, and then that was, the cost of the new company coming on.
Their onboarding expenses.
So I would say we probably, like 3,000 or so.
Okay, so that's reasonable, and so about approximately 6,000 of that will be transition costs that we can not worry about for next year, but.
Well, it was about 3,000 for transition, right?
Yes,
So
altogether should be about 3,000. 3,100 if you want to.
Now, does this include any capital expenditures? This is just operating?
Operating.
Okay, okay. I mean, I'm probably leaving now, coming up with like 15,540, so,
well, we have ground rent in there,
Okay.
other,
Okay.
and then they charge, I believe it was $100 per hour for anything else. Just the regular service.
and that's reasonable. The tax collector, tax assessor. The other expenses under the collector, it's going down from 17 to 7, is that the,
Yeah, we weren't sure what the conversion was going, we thought we were going to end this.
okay,
Um,
so we don't need, so we might, okay, that's good. A little balance, then I feel a little bit better about it.
yes.
Services. It is $50,000 is very reasonable. Engineering, the same. We would offer stipend for the Historic Preservation Committee. Planning Board is, acceptable, looks like they used the majority of their budget last year.
No, yeah. There'll be a host of applications coming before the board this year.
But those are usually then covered through escrow. But also, hopefully, here maybe Planning Board. Like the legal challenges, we can review this.
Okay.
There.
Paul, is under the land use administration, where is the litigation for the affordable housing? Where is that carried?
It's actually built into our regular legal services. Michael Browning's been handling that because we didn't contest our 51 unit. So right now, everything's been with the committee. So no, under the land use would just be, any legal issues, dealing with zoning applications or site plans that are challenged.
Got it.
So I don't think we expect, I mean, if you look, so last year, there's potential, to be close to that 60,000 because we will probably file some additional, processes on that, for land, for the affordable. So it's gonna be close, but I don't anticipate anything, we're not challenging it in court. We're gonna challenge the methodology, the ability or how we're going to implement it, which was the racial adjustment this last time. So we should be okay.
And I asked him, I don't remember what Michael said, so we're good for round 3, that's our round 4 number.
That's our round 4 number, yes, round 3 was the duration adjustment. And so that satisfies. Round 4, we're anticipating doing the same. There's some constrictions we have to figure out. The only obligation we really have left are some round 2 numbers, which were accessory units that we would allow. Do we still have the affordable housing fund? Like if somebody wanted to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we do have some money in the, we did the special emergency.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit
Okay.
left in there.
We were offering some incentive dollars for those who were to convert, say, over a garage apartment, or if they had it out of compliance and they want to bring in compliance, we would offer some financial assistance and permit assistance. Good. We're not anticipating any new construction in response. And the zoning officer, that's the salary.
That's her salary.
Okay.
Only.
Safety is OEM salary and deputy OEM. Aid to the fire companies and rescue squads.
So I did want to comment on that. I did bring the numbers into the percentage from the 2003 agreement. So you'll notice the higher fire companies went up, the lower fire companies did go down a little based on the percentage.
So is this the same gross number though?
It is.
Okay. So Mr. Kenny, I know this was one of your points. At one point, I think it was 2018, maybe, we just gave everybody a flat $5,000 increase, which changed the percent. So, Mr. Cotton, if anybody else does watch the budget video, the fire companies have a contract with the chiefs from 2003, where they determine the percentage, and say, we have X amount of dollars, you determine what your percentages are that makes everybody happy, so that the township isn't figuring that out for you. And we've been following that since 2003, except in 2018, we gave everybody a $5,000 equal disbursement, which then screwed up that percentage. So we either continue down the road with the screwed up percentage, or we correct it this year. And then I would like to find funds to add, does this budget doesn't have anything additional in here for fire companies currently. I would like to add an increase the fire companies, at least to the level that the ones who dropped go back. I'm gonna say it publicly, I didn't analyze the numbers, but it looks like Glen Gardner, their number of responses keep increasing. So I don't think it's acceptable to have them drop below where they are.
I just want to point out that that agreement in 2003 was because that's what they agreed to.
Yes.
And if they want to argue about who's doing more and who's doing less, let them argue.
Yeah, I don't think that's our responsibility. I just don't think anybody should, especially in this environment, I don't think anybody should be going below where they were last year.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, we have a total budget that we agree. I think we have an obligation to, follow the agreement. Otherwise, we're gonna get into an argument every year for who should get more based on what they did in one year.
That I agree with. What I would suggest is we find a way to. It's been, we haven't done an increase for fire companies since. It's probably been at least three, I would say probably 3 years.
Yeah, definitely last year.
So what I'm saying is, let's redistribute it the proper way that it is.
What do you mean by that?
Like,
According to the agreement.
according to the agreement,
The percentages that they
Jen put it back.
they agree.
Yes, Jen put it back to the agreement. But then figure out a number that we can give them all increases, also distributed the same.
Yeah, I have a problem with increasing the total,
Yes,
as long as it's distributed
Correct.
to the agreement.
correct. And then my caveat is, whatever that total is, brings these two companies back up to at least where they were based on the agreement.
I don't have a problem with that either,
But
we need to follow the agreement. We're supposed to have a one-time and change, and then it seemed to slip into always a way to get back to with the contractor.
And I would, like to see, I don't know if there's another way to fund it. They all asked for collectively $9,000 for this training smoke door. I don't think that's unreasonable, especially if all the companies are going to be sharing it. I would like to find a way to fund that, but it is a capital expenditure. Not necessarily one that we maintain, but it does benefit the municipalities. I don't know if there's another,
So I did
Place.
put 50,000 in capital
okay,
for
Got it.
all of the companies together.
okay.
I wasn't clear on what was the total amount for that quote?
Door,
Yeah,
9,000.
no, from us, what's the total? What are the other municipalities?
Oh, well,
I want to make sure that, I want to understand, that our contribution is not disproportionately high or even low. I just want to make sure it's fair, but I don't know the answer.
$9,000 because that's the door.
That's my, my question is, why are we paying 100%?
I agree. I don't think
I don't think it should.
we can work on that for the next budget. I don't think we're gonna. Yeah, and we don't, and that's a valid argument. I don't disagree with it. I don't think the other municipalities are, we'll see. I'm willing to reach out and see if they're willing to participate.
Well, I mean, it's clearly not just for our benefit, it's,
It's five firemen.
right, all of whom service
Other,
other municipalities and the training and that we're talking about will benefit them as much, if not more, based upon the percentages that they perform their duties in the other municipalities. So I think it's reasonable to say we should all contribute. I'm willing to contribute, don't get me wrong, I think it's fair to do, I think it's, we have an obligation to do that. But not 100%.
these are all fire companies and rescue that are on mutual aid that respond to cover Bethlehem Township?
Yeah.
Various supporters.
It's based on response time.
Geographic location?
Yeah.
None of them are located in the township, so many years in 2003,
Yeah, there's
actually before that, 2003, there was a grant between these organizations who would cover what percentages they would get based upon the historic responses that they made.
And there
And this
is,
was
there is a, standard for rural response time. I think it's less than 14 minutes. And so, Bloomsbury couldn't respond to, Glen Gardner side within 14 minutes. Pattenberg can't get to Hampton, and Hampton can't get there in 14 minutes. I think they're all averaging about a 9 or 10 minute response time at this point, which is up from about 6, I believe, since over the past few years. But I think that's where this pre-existed all of us. But I believe that's where it started from, is that there is a code or a code that sets a standard that they have to follow. And then the rescue squads are the same. Pattenberg has been serving us consistently for many years. South Branch acquired Hampton. And so that's why South Branch is a response unit to Bethlehem Township. So we'll leave these numbers where they are now, and we can look at, yeah, but we're trying to save them somewhere else too. We're those salaries are 3%,
Assume.
yes.
And out of, for the salary, any park mowing
Mm.
and whatnot comes out, of anything for down at the park
Yep.
does come out of.
Open space.
Yeah.
Does the salaries come out of open space for Jimmy and them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So if you look at the percentage, there's some reserve, because then we calculate it once it's recorded.
What's included in the other expenses?
A lot of that, I think, is, I would say parts.
Asphalt, aggregate, various size, cement,
Salt.
grades. The salt's not in the other
Is
expenses.
the salt under snow removal?
Yes, it is.
Snow removal, other expenses.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any equipment to fix the trucks or parts, tires. Sweeping equipment rental, signs and hardware, meal allowance, permits, topsoil, grass seed, shop supplies, safety supplies, dump asphalt, mechanic tools, and
So that's their operating.
so
Day-to-day budget.
So, yeah, and they have, do they submit like an annual capital improvement for certain roads and sections of road?
That's in a capital budget, which is separate. So this is more their just general operating budget. I will say, I think this has been the same.
this is the budget that Jeff gave me, his request. I can, get a clean copy, for everybody, and then that way you can see.
There are, Rich, you get, familiar, it's a purchase order system as well, so, they don't have carte blanche, obviously, so Jen and Judy approve
We
their
approve
purchase orders.
everything. And believe me, we question.
But I think this has been about 100, I mean, we're at 147 this year.
They do a very good job of sourcing things
Yeah,
out,
this
I
is-
have to admit.
It's just been about $140,000 since I started on the committee in 2011.
It's been pretty.
So I don't, I think it's more than fair, and they're very cautious with what they do.
Right, good, thank you.
The solid waste, is just our garbage bill.
Yes.
The buildings and grounds is maintenance for these structures. And just maintenance, no improvements in that 35.
No, it's the heating, maintenance agreements, it's the cleaning service, some paper products.
Snow removal, we just shared. Other expenses, salt for $70,000. Township cleanup day,
So actually, so just to clarify, that 70,000 is more than just the salt, is if they need chains for the tires. So anything that is snow related, so, but.
just look
I
at the
think
plow,
there's gonna be,
plow blades. as
I was
well.
gonna say, what parts come off of,
yeah,
like you said,
the plow blade, the
like if the
chain.
hydraulic brakes that raises the snow. plow
If it's
up and
for
down?
the plow itself,
Right,
yes.
Okay.
But I mean, the way the winter's going, I think we're gonna be hitting the 70 in just the salt, so. And this was unexpected tonight for my realizer, so.
Last week, it was saying 15 to 18 inches.
Right.
Yeah.
Less than.
Much less than it was originally.
I would have rather just done that. Plow blades.
Yeah, if you're gonna go out.
Cleanup day is expense here, but it's usually covered, we're not allowed to cover like communities anymore.
Yeah.
And then, and that's, so last year, the expenses were 12 and 1, okay,
Yeah, so that's, I dropped it from 20 down to 16.
okay. That's probably prudent. 1,100 on Morris County Co-op, that's the membership fee to be participate in the co-op. Public health. Was $1,000,
But that is for, the inspections, the county food inspections.
Round commission budget of 1,500. Senior Citizen Club, that's our contribution to them, $4,000. Parks and Recreation, we contribute to the Booster Club at 4,500. $7,000 is Community Day, it's up $1,000, it's probably proven as well, especially if we continue with fireworks.
Yeah, they seem to just keep going up that cost.
Municipal Court. We added in for this year, the budget, the salary for violations clerk.
which may not be used. We end up not hiring.
We may be hiring somebody.
Okay.
We haven't decided yet, but does this include any of the increases that we requested? And
So the way the salary works for the court is we received the shared service funds from the 3 other courts. I used those funds first to pay the salaries of the employees, and then this, is for, once we, expend all of that, then we go to, in the budget. So I really try, use the shared service money first. And then when I calculated the 3% and, the increase with what the courts are giving us, this was the balance.
and what's plenty of salaries and wages in this? The salaries and wages here is for the judge.
The salary and wages is overall. So it's not just the judge, so on sheet 22. We have the shared services for all courts. So that comes to $99,417.12 that we're receiving from the 3, Bloomsbury, Glen Gardner, and one other.
So the college, okay, so the salaries are paid out of that first, and then what's left
And then
for
the
us,
rest comes to
the
that.
guy department.
Yes. But it had to be with the violations clerk, we had to bump it up.
We just covered, we looked at any salary increases that were requested, does this cover that?
Yes. Depends on how much, but
Okay. Any questions about?
Yeah, what are the 2 other expenses in that in municipal court? One is 30,000, the other is a court officer went from 12,000 to 24 to 30,000.
so the other expenses for the court is, we charge Donna's healthcare out of there, which is right around $12,000.
The court administrator.
So, yes, I'm sorry, the court administrator. And then that is any of her publications, anything that's court related, any expense,
Training?
training,
Yeah, she has to go through a lot of certifications.
her phone, we charge the phone to her, her court phones get charged there. With the exception of the court officer, which is a sheriff's officer and state police, a state trooper at every court session. When I took January, what we were billed in January, for the month of January, I just multiplied it by 12. Since we have 2 sessions a month. And it came up to, it was just right around 30,000, give or take.
The increase was because the court still remains largely virtual, but they do a security analysis. And, the concern is that it's been virtual for so long, people have figured out where the courts are anyway. So it's not safe to leave them unprotected, even though people aren't here. So, and a while ago, they required or requested that we have, both the trooper and the sheriff's officer here.
And there are, well, it's becoming a lot more in-person work.
Thank you.
My topic.
Yeah.
Insurance, biggest part of our increase.
So our general insurance through PACE, that did go up a little bit, about $8,000. I think it's been going up, maybe not quite that much every year, but it has been going up. Then the employee group insurance, so because there was such a large, percent increase, we were able to put, some of that, a portion of that out, outside the cap, and that's on sheet 20,
Hey, one sheet.
20. So the health insurance is gonna cost us approximately $233 after the employees pay their portion.
What's the employee portion?
It's a percentage of,
Yeah.
based on your salary, it's a percentage of the premium.
The barrier was the average percentage.
So I don't know, I'm at like 34%, and you have other people that are at like 12%. It depends on your family plan, if you're single,
What you choose.
Correct.
There's a variety of plans.
Yeah.
Yeah, the button, things like that.
Well, we all have the same.
You're all the same? You're not allowed to choose gold?
Oh, well, we don't do, it's like the Blue Cross.
Mhm.
But everybody's just,
Same.
it's the same.
The
So you
state-
all pick the same?
the state isn't the same, but I think they have one Blue Cross plan and one with the Guyana plan.
Okay,
Yeah,
You get the levels of the plans, you just. get-
okay.
so there's different ones in there on your deductible or whatnot, but, for a family coverage, it's just over $50,000 for the premium for a family. And then a single is 18,000.
How often do we bid that out, insurance?
We,
Is it contract or annual?
we're in the state health benefits plan, with the state workers. So it's and it goes up a ridiculous amount every year. Municipalities have been leaving, but unfortunately, it's the larger municipalities and counties. So when you look at our loss records, based on the number of employees that we have enrolled in the health plan, nobody wants to touch us. So we've tried to bid out the past couple of years with the private carriers. We went to a couple of local HIFs, health insurance funds. We just missed out on one. They capped it because they've accepted similar municipalities. So I think the majority of 100 counties in the county itself, I think finally just got out of the state plan this year, but they have 1,000 workers or whatever it is. And I don't think there's any municipality in Hunter right now that's not in the state plan based on our size.
Well, what caused our rates to go up for incidents or?
It's because it's in the state plan, so it's plans the state employees. Every other municipality and or county that's still in that plan, so like we might, I don't know, for instance, like New Jersey City is still in the state plan, I don't know if they are or not, but there's a significantly higher liability risk, there. And if, I know, like, I'm gonna pick on, 'cause like Scotch Plains left, they were big enough to leave. But Scotch Plains has probably less claims than Jersey City, so it's more of those suburban towns with enough employees buying their own insurance. Then the rates keep going up. And yeah, I just had Paul be jumping in, Paul, Livingston, I think is probably a great microcosm of what's happening in the States.
So, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
No, I just want to, I guess, just fill in there. So I do know that with the state health plan benefits, it's ultimately the state and their failure to work with the municipalities and everyone else to try to get us in there to negotiate better deals. The state comes out and says this is what we're paying into them. This year they did bring Aetna in to the state health benefits plans, and Aetna had stated that if they can get, I believe it was 10% at least of all the state health employees members to transfer to the Aetna plan, Aetna said that they would provide a 10% discount next year. The hope was that if that happens next year, that would then start causing some competition between Aetna and Blue Cross Blue Shield to start going back to reducing the rates. Unfortunately, over the years, 10 years ago, there was 7 or 8 different health insurance companies in the state healthcare benefits plan. So there was a competition to keep the rates down. And then as it went on, the state kept dropping more and more and more until eventually it was only Blue Cross Blue Shield was the only one that was in the state health plan benefits. And they sort of had the, they had to say charging what they wanted to charge.
The schools.
We've been trying to get out too of it as well, because I think with this year, it was what, 18% it went up. And I think last year was another 11%. And the year before that was almost 20%. I think we saw almost a 50% increase in a matter of 3 years in the health plan benefits.
Thank you, Paul. Well, does the school have they have a separate pool that they go in and?
I honestly don't know where the school puts their health insurance.
I believe there's still,
In the state
it
plan as
can
well.
be, yeah.
I mean, that was my
Is it
assumption.
teachers union for the teachers?
Yeah, my friend's a teacher in Phillipsburg, and they have the state health benefits over there,
Yeah.
so.
So individual, municipalities and that can choose to go out of the state health plan benefits and go find coverage elsewhere. But Paul, as you have mentioned, especially for us, it's such a small town, there's no way we'd be able to compare rates. And as you mentioned before, with the a lot of the larger municipalities and cities and all that were jumping ship and going to private or different coverage, that's one of the reasons why those increases went up.
Wow, 50% for years?
We've been trying to find other avenues since it went to the 23% 2 years ago. We had a reprieve last year, but we still tried to find, because we know it's gonna keep happening. Just because, like Paul said, the state doesn't bother to negotiate, they don't come to the municipalities, they don't try to create some sort of collective bargaining situation, they accept the increase and move on, and then, and again, so we're gonna keep looking, and keep trying to find some other avenue to go towards, but, I think we need to plan for the worst of this situation for now.
There is a Paul.
Yes.
I don't know if Jen can look into it or not, but I believe there's a new plan that the state has under the Blue Cross Blue Shield that the coverage isn't the same as the premium one that everybody has. But if the state was saying if members went into it, they would get a offset card, I guess the best way to describe it, like a discount card that would bring those discounts for the coverage that they were losing, and they would still pretty much have sort of a similar coverage. I don't know much about it because I'm assuming it's not great because a lot of the towns, we looked into it and said it wasn't worth it and we didn't bother going with it. But I'm not sure that's something if Jen want to try to get information from the state health plan benefits and look into that maybe.
All right, I'll look into that.
Okay, so we'll continue to find, we do try to seek options, but we know what the worst is, we know what to pay, so. We'll keep moving, utility expenses and bulk purchases all have to be the same, we're reducing diesel fuel cost,
Well,
no question about that. Is that,
we only spent 17,000 last year. I mean.
And what about this year?
Expecting these big hits on. We actually ran out of fuel because. So we did have, we went a little bit without buying fuel because they didn't know that we switched back to who we used to have for our diesel through the co-op.
Yeah.
And they didn't realize we were on an automatic.
No.
So they were waiting and.
and I heard about that, I just wanted to make sure we have enough budget for it.
So. It's
Well-
hard to tell because the more storms we have, the more trucks are.
Yeah, I was gonna say the more trucks are running, so I don't know if you wanna base it off of.
I mean, I
Should we put a little bit more in?
I haven't really gotten bills to know yet this year.
We spent 17 last year, so you did add to it, but.
I know, I always try to keep it, just in case, but,
Well, if the cost comes down, then if we use more gallons, it should be a wash.
Yeah, the cost has been fairly consistent for diesel since last year. There's spikes, but it's not stayed. Hasn't gone down either.
This might sound trivial in the overall scope of the budget, but electricity being the same with the huge rate hikes coming.
I was gonna say that, right? They
Yeah.
posted almost a 20% increase.
We're enrolled, we're still enrolled in the county's cooperative, correct?
as far as I know,
Yeah.
I mean, you haven't heard otherwise, have you?
I just double checked, an email came out asking, just confirming that we were continuing on.
Okay.
So we have a hundred and area energy cooperative for the residents. Which locks in a rate less than JCP&L until November of 2025. The same, so that, but it excludes, the way the state regulations excludes commercial properties. But governments were given a kind of a pass, if you will. So Hunter County organized their own government cooperative and we joined them. So we're not subject to that 20% rate hike until that contract ends. I mean, so I think we're okay through this year. And we'll have to look at it again next year.
Okay.
So price is good, reliability is a different story.
Correct. Well, I have an update on meetings, actually. So I think we're probably okay.
That's good.
Okay.
And then the power's out so much and the generators are on. So we're not back to the power.
Yes, true. Is that?
Is the propane good enough with the propane?
Yes. Or diesel.
The total operation within the cap is at 1.9.
Is there a page 16?
There was nothing on it.
Oh, okay.
So I was trying to save
You're
paper.
trying to confuse me?
She's trying to control expenses.
Press it, but it's-
I was gonna give you guys double sided, but when I looked at my double sided, I was like, no.
We'll say as an attorney, though, probably uncomfortable with the page myself. Take our word for it, there's nothing on it. Just sign.
It will be there for the full introduced budget and whatnot, but.
So percentage wise, what is that 24 to 25? The total operations increase.
So if you start, I would suggest starting at page 11, so you can read after us. Sheet 11. There's about a $300,000 increase, so you'll see the anticipated. It's kind of the summation on page 11. We're a public meeting, Sarah. For the budget meeting. So that's again, it's our starting point every time, there's always increases. We hope to find ways to decrease it, we haven't. done that.
She's looking at her.
No,
No.
nothing,
Oh,
just find ways to decrease on the.
Yeah, we usually do, this year, again, there's not much options. So the way we mitigate it is to use, our surplus to balance the budget. So this, pages on here, but I mean, we're getting close to 7:30, so, the bottom line for me is this summary sheet, preliminary projected tax rate. That I sent out last night. Jen did an excellent job preparing this. Every year I ask, what's the increase to the average home in Bethlehem Township? And that's, this year's $220 increase from the local budget, based on the budget that we have. And that's using $450,000 worth of our surplus, so our surplus was, our surplus in the beginning of 2024 was $1,462,000. We use 450, that brings us down to 982. We regenerate somewhere around $600,000, but to be conservative, we regenerated 575. We would be back at 1.5 million at the end of the year. I love to preserve and protect our surplus, but we're all facing some hits this year, so I may suggest that the surplus belongs to our taxpayers. Not planning on any bonds or large debt in the future, so the benefit of the surplus is it helps our credit rating, it gives us some cushion. But I would suggest that we increase our usage of the surplus from 450 to 575. And that would bring the increase down to $133 for residents, I believe. Sliding dice.
Yes, 130.
Because I always look at this holistically. Yeah, I wish residents would come to these meetings, because these are the more, I think this is some of the most important things that we do here. And so I'll share that we look at this holistically, and we collect 12 to 14% of the taxes. And then we have the municipal open space tax, which is ours, you have the regional school tax, which is not ours, you have the school tax, obviously not ours, and the county tax. And none of those agencies look at this holistically. They look at their budget, they look at what they need, and don't care what the residents have to pay. And I called and spoke to one of the school board members about it. I engaged the school board president. We're having some conversations to look at their tax rates. Granted, their issue is their budget season is different than ours, so it's July, so it's not really on their radar. But since we were very clear about the tax reassessments, they needed to be on their radar this year. So long story short, the way we're presenting this budget without using extra surplus, what we anticipate the schools to do, which after talking to one of the school board members, we're highly optimistic. The average home in Bethlehem Township is going to see an increase in their taxes of $787. It's a lot, and probably closer to $1,000 based on what the school was sharing with me.
What percentage of the budget is the school, 60?
72%.
And they're not here.
And they have significant issues. I'm not, they need help. But we need to look at this holistically. So we try to do our part to help the residents as much as we can. And as I said, this year in particular, I think using more of our surplus is probably best thing that we can offer as a small municipality.
But in retrospect, you're gonna get slammed by the school.
Yeah, I mean, so either try to mitigate what we need to, or just say that everybody's taking a big hit and we're part of it. And
Just, so,
again, Betsy resident showing up because it's more important than anything else we would ever do. Yeah. So what we try to do is we have these initial discussions tonight. We didn't find too many places to reduce, so our major discussion is the use of surplus. And try to then have more of a consensus for the next meeting.
we've had discussions every once in a while, we get a request for a large amount from, for example, our emergency services.
Yeah.
So, and we try to keep surplus to be able to make our share of the contribution to it, but that's.
Well, that's where the 50, we didn't get into really the capital
Right.
budget tonight. We made up with three budget meetings this year.
If we have to, we have to.
We've done it in the past, we've involved the merchants. I think one year we had four budget meetings. Because they might have been around for those, 2017, 16, 17, I think we had them before, two of them being emergencies.
Yeah, I don't know how, I mean, I don't want to leave the town vulnerable, but
If we're over $1 million, we've been down to
we've been down with low.
like $400,000, so.
Yeah,
$1 million is kind of my comfort threshold on surplus, but if we're in the 900, 950 million, and it helps our residents, because they're, all of us, not just us, we're getting hit on all sides. So that's something to ponder, and have discussions, we will do that.
okay.
The only caveat to that is if there's a way, if we, maybe Jen, you can look at the calculation, and I do this to you, and then you wanna strangle me. So if we make this a round number, so that our average increase is 133, we're using 575 of surplus. What does it look like using 575 of surplus to bring this to even 150? How much money does that give us to then provide an increase to the first response agency? So if that differential of $17 per household, what does that? Yes, we don't need to break it down, as we know what the addition is.
To make it 150.
So,
So that would be a total of $21,000.
Then, but is that out of the cap, or can we shift that?
That's outside cap.
Yeah, but this includes, this, and I would be fine, actually, and I don't know if this would help, I would be fine, because we can make the commitment to start that capital fund. for the first year. So we made a commitment, or I made a commitment that I would like to investigate. Mr. Kenny came up with the idea, I think it's wise. That we create a capital fund like we do for our roads. We put money aside every year that we can spend for our roads. We put money aside every year for the fire and rescue companies. But, so when they do need equipment, we're saving money for them, but we want them to start saving money as well. And for them to come in and use it. But I'm thinking, I was only thinking about putting $20,000 of it into this year. So if we took that 50 and made it 25, and then we give them this 25, does that then bring us back down to the 133?
No.
It's a start, to the
Yeah.
camp. We need to-
Just back to the work.
Okay.
But at a 25, we did, so we also have to factor. Oh, so if we do 25, what's going to the fire department?
Yeah, with that, we can just take the 25.
And then what's going to rescue slides to figure out.
Yeah, we do that separate. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. So.
So what I'm saying is instead of contributing the whole $50,000 to kick off that capital campaign this year, capital class. Then, raise, well, fundraisers, we're doing capital campaigns. We, let's just put 25,000 to start, still our initial commitment to the fire companies and the rescue squads that we want to do this. And as our budget becomes less stressful, we can look at other options. But then we also then help them out operating wise with 25,000. And then it brings us back down to $133 increase for our residents. Instead of $220 increase.
At least we're pretty solid, so that's what's big enough.
So I'd ask is, because I also just need a little bit of a break in between, the motion to adjourn the budget meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the budget meeting.